I'm making today a pasta. It's a kale butternut squash pasta. I happen to love the flavors of sauteed kale and butternut squash together, but it obviously takes a lot longer to saute butternut squash. So what I usually do first is I roast it. So what I have in here is I have just some cut up butternut squash. You don't need a ton. Some cut up butternut squash and about 3 cloves of garlic. Then I'm going to take some dry oregano. You don't want too much because when herbs are dried, they are definitely more pungent and a little bit stronger. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. We're going to put a little bit of salt, and then we're going to put some avocado oil on the top. So we have some avocado oil. We're going to mix this all up, make sure the butter and squash and everything is nice and coated with the oil and the herbs. And then we're going to pop it into a 400-degree oven. I would say to keep that in there probably for 45 minutes or so, because we want to make sure that the squash is soft enough. So I'm going to put that in there for about 45 minutes. And the next thing we're going to do is, so I have my pasta cooked already. It's in here. We have my pasta. What I did is I put a little bit of olive oil in there because now we're going to kind of combine it all. So I have my olive oil. We put the flame on a little. We're going to mix the pasta. My pasta was cooked this morning, so it got a little bit harder, but when we put it in the olive oil, it will spread apart really, really nicely. Then what we're going to do, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some kale. I have chopped up kale. I always have chopped up kale in my refrigerator because I like to use it for a lot of things. We're going to take a whole bunch of kale because remember, kale is like spinach and it shrinks down really nicely. And we're going to mix this really, really nicely. The kale, because it's cut up so thin, it's going to cook really, really quickly. This is like this. It's cooked really, really, really quickly, really nice. The next thing I like to do is just put some red pepper flakes because it gives it a nice little kick. Not too much because it definitely gets spicy, but when you cook it, it does take out some of the heat a little bit. So put as much or as little as you want. We're going to mix that together. The kale is already starting to cook down. We don't want the kale to be super, super soggy, so we don't want to cook it for too long, but we do want to make sure that it's cooked a little bit and that it's not super, super raw. We just want to take some of that bite out of it. So it looks really good to me. I'm going to shut the stove off. Obviously, the butternut squash is in the oven right now. This is the final product. So it's really, really delicious. The squash is nice and soft. We have the garlic in there as well. You can take that out. You can leave that if you want. It's really fine. That's up to you. The kale is nice, not super, super soft. And I did use a whole wheat pasta just for more fiber.